Hey guys, it's Conflict Studios here, and in today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys my full review of Cedar Point's new for 2025 tilt coaster, Siren's Curse. I had the opportunity to ride this attraction 14 times during the media preview event on Thursday, June 26th at the park, and this ride is a slam dunk for Cedar Point. Now, obviously, I can't really talk too much about the ride without talking about the strange way it wound up at Cedar Point. We all know that this was not originally intended to go to Cedar Point. It originally came from Six Flags Mexico, and some think it also might have come from Energylandia in Poland before that. That part's not confirmed though. We know for sure though that this was originally planned for Six Flags Mexico. The park had issues with the city in terms of getting permits for the attraction, where they were going to put it. Long story short, they did not build it at Six Flags Mexico, so they shipped it up north to Sandusky, Ohio, so that Cedar Point could install it as their new for 2025 coaster, which was an interesting move considering they just got Top Thrill 2 in 2024. Obviously, there were some issues with Top Thrill, so a lot of people assume that they decided to put Siren's Curse up at Cedar Point to kind of soften the blow in case Top Thrill 2 continue to have issues. Thankfully for them, Top Thrill 2 has been running fairly consistently. It's been like 50-50 most days, but it has at least been open a lot more than it was in 2024, and now they have another coaster to support their already incredible coaster lineup. Now, with this knowledge that Siren's Curse was never originally intended for Cedar Point, looking at the way they were able to fit this attraction into the park is honestly amazing. They took a plot of land that hasn't been used for a while. It once held the Wildcat coaster way back in the day. It was an old Schwarzkopf. That was removed in 2011. Then they had the Cedar Point dorms over there. Those were removed. So the area was kind of sitting relatively vacant. So they rerouted the perimeter road, put this coaster in there, and rerouted the pathways a little bit too to incorporate this new attraction. And it really does fit very well in this area of the park. The theme is also really well done. Again, very surprising considering how last minute this coaster was. It's themed to kind of like a shipping yard. There's containers all over the place. There's this water underneath the attraction with this like algae seeping up. It's definitely, your typical Cedar Fair style theming where there's not much of a story, but the thematics of it, the look of it is really, really well done. And I think it might be one of the best themed coasters at Cedar Point just because it looks so good. The queue brings you through all of these really nice thematic elements, as well as weaving you in and around the coaster's layout, which I think is really, really cool. Gives you tons of different photo and video opportunities from all different spots throughout the ride's layout. And then, of course, you get to the double-sided lockers. Now, what I find interesting is that the three systems of lockers at Cedar Point for the three rides that require you to have lockers, being Steel Vengeance, Top Thrill 2, and Siren's Curse, are all completely different. Siren's Curses is pretty interesting because they are from Best Locker, at least that's what they look like. And you have these screens, you go up and you enter a 7-digit code that is going to be the code that you remember, and that's how you're going to access your locker number. Then you also put in a passcode, and once you do all of that, it gives you a locker to go to. You go over to that locker, put your code in, and then it opens. Now you can either remember the exact locker number that you're given, or you just need to remember that 7-digit code in addition to your password, and then you're good to go. Now, these lockers are right before the station, and the ride operators were telling us that there was a 20-minute timer on these lockers, which during media day wound up not being enough, so they had to go in and extend the rentals all a little bit. I'm curious how this is going to work during the regular operation of the attraction, if 20 minutes is going to be enough, because if you're in line, say it breaks down after you already put your stuff in the locker, obviously it's probably going to wind up taking more than 20 minutes. So I would hope that there's some kind of a system in place where they can kind of prevent your locker from expiring or being given to someone else. There are plenty of lockers available, so I don't think they'll ever have a shortage of lockers, but it is definitely a pretty interesting system. Personally, I prefer the system where you just scan a barcode and it opens the locker for you. I think that is by far the simplest. There's nothing to remember, and all you need to do is keep a little piece of paper on you that has a barcode. But I understand why Cedar Point did what they did. They're very, very particular about having absolutely nothing in your pockets. You go through the metal detectors, which are very, very sensitive. So again, totally understand that. Once you're past all of that, you get up to the station, and these trains are from Vekoma. The ride itself, of course, is a new generation Vekoma model, one of the first thrilling Vekoma new gen coasters in the United States. The first one was Flash up at Great Adventure, and that was kind of a nice warm-up to get everyone ready for Siren's Curse, because Siren's Curse just jumps full form into what new gen Vekoma can be. And this ride, honestly, more than anything, really excites me for the future of this manufacturer, because knowing that this ride, which really isn't that big or that significant, is as good as it is, has me so excited for what else Vekoma can bring to the United States. but these trains are identical to Flash's. So if you've ridden Flash, you know exactly what to expect. There's 12 rows, each row seats 2 people, so a total of 24 riders per train. There are 2 trains on this attraction, and this ride, of course, just like Flash, features onboard audio as well as onboard lighting. I think the onboard audio is one of the best things about this attraction because the synced up score they have for this ride is phenomenal. You have this really cool ambient music that plays in the station with like seagulls. You sound like you're on the beach, and then as you go up the lift hill, the sirens start making these noises. There's these whisperings that go through your ears, and then once you get to the tilt, you have like this creaking sound. It's so cool, but I'm getting ahead of myself because first, of course, you're going to head up that lift hill, and that lift hill is lightning fast. It feels like you're going kind of slow, and then out of nowhere it just picks up, and you go flying up that lift hill. It's very quick. Then you get to the top, have a slight left turn, and then you hit that tilt. So when you do start to tilt, it takes a second because of course the train has to lock into place. The tilt wound up being one of the most surprising elements of this attraction for me. I really didn't know what to expect with it. I knew it would be pretty cool, but I just thought it would be more of a gimmick than anything else. But this is genuinely one of the best parts of this ride, and that's saying a lot because this ride has a lot of absolutely stellar moments. What I really like about this too is that the sensations on the tilt are completely different front to back. In the front, because the way you're rotating, you kind of get pushed into the tilt, whereas in the back, you kind of get thrown over it and you're really hanging up so high. I do think the back row is slightly better than the front row overall in this attraction, but anywhere you ride, you're going to have a great experience. That's what I really like about this ride. You can ride it anywhere and it's going to be great no matter what. But once you tilt into that full 90-degree position, you'll hang there for just a couple seconds before you drop, and you really do feel that kind of release of the claw holding you there. You kind of get thrown forward a little bit. It's really cool. Not painful or anything, just really adds to the excitement of the ride. And that's when the score kicks in. It's this very like heavy metal grunge style score they have going throughout the whole ride, which I think works perfectly for just how aggressive this ride is. This is one of the best paced attractions I've ever seen. You're just flying element to element. There's never a slowdown. And it is just so cool how quick this ride traverses all of its maneuvers. You're first, of course, going to go down that drop, which is really cool. Kind of feels like an intimate impulse coaster if you've been on one of those. You fly through a left-hand turn where you're going to get crushed by some really good positive G's going over the water, and then you pop up into the what I call the Flash turnaround element. It's kind of like a non-inverting dive loop, and if you've ridden Flashes, you'll kind of know what to expect for this. I actually think this one is better if you're in the front row because you get absolutely tossed out of your seat and then thrown back in. In the back, this element's alright. It's not amazing because you don't get as strong of whip as you do on the one on Flash. So I definitely think this is the one element that's much better in the front, but that's probably the only element I think that is better in the front out of everything else. But after that, you're going to fly through your first inversion, which is a 0G roll, and this roll tosses you. You get thrown up out of your seat because you're just going through it with so much speed, and the way it's heart-lined really does emphasize the negative G-forces and the whip through this element, which I thought was awesome. Then you're going to soar up into the triple down. The triple down is one of the coolest parts of this ride. You start by banking left, then you bank right, and then you flatten out and drop into the tunnel. All three of these hills give you some really good airtime. I actually found that the left side just emphasizes it a little bit more. I know it's getting very specific, but you're really going to feel the airtime, and this is where the back row really shines. Especially after that first hill, you kind of just get thrown right in. It's very quick how you transition between these hills. It's really impressive. Then, of course, you drop into that tunnel, the only tunnel, at least underground tunnel, on a coaster at Cedar Point, which is pretty cool considering Cedar Point sits so close to Lake Erie, and it's kind of tricky to build underground like that, but they did it. There's a fog effect, a light effect, and everything in there. They went all out. Then you soar up into what is essentially a non-inverting loop, and it's a really cool element. Not really my favorite because it doesn't do too much in the force category, but you whip through it pretty quickly. You get a nice little bit of floater airtime as you go through it. And then you soar down through another turn, and this leads you up into one of my favorite airtime moments on the ride, which is kind of this switchback hill. It tosses you out of your seat. Again, no matter where you're sitting, you're going to get great airtime here. Then you go down and through the final inversion, which is another 0G roll. This one's taken a bit slower than the first one, which really does emphasize some hang time. So you're still going to get tossed out of your seat, just in a bit more of a slower manner, which I think is cool. Then you hit the on-ride photo and fly over into what is kind of like a wave turn. It's not a full 90-degree wave turn, but you pop up and then jump down, so you get a really good pop of airtime here. And then you hit the final run of airtime hills, which is kind of reminiscent of Steel Vengeance, where you just popped out of your seat, out of your seat, out of your seat. I actually think this is a better finale because all the airtime hills hit just as strong as the others. There's not ones that are weaker or not as good. It really does end with a bang, and then you hit that final brakes, ending your ride experience on Siren's Curse. Now, when I first rode this ride, I rode it in the back row, and I was so impressed. And this is the kind of ride where you're gonna wanna ride it more than once, because as you ride it more, you're gonna like it more. On my first ride, I thought it was really good, definitely top 5 coaster at Cedar Point, but it was not the best at the park. As I rode it more and more, it just kept creeping up, and now I would probably say it's the 3rd best coaster at Cedar Point, and that's saying a lot. I mean, you have coasters like Steel Vengeance, Maverick, Top Thrill 2, Magnum, Millennium Force, the list goes on. And to put this ride that high, and I genuinely believe it deserves to be that high in my opinion, that says a lot about the quality of this attraction. It is glass smooth, has some really strong positive G-forces, some really strong negative G-forces, great inversions. Is it a little short? Maybe. I personally thought it was a pretty good length. It felt like it was a very complete ride, and there really wasn't much else you could do with a layout like that because it felt like it did everything it needed to do. And I do think, at the end of the day, it probably should have gone to another park. I think it's great to have it at Cedar Point because, again, it just adds to that incredible coaster collection. But when I really started to look at how this compares to other coasters I've ridden, for instance, if this went to Kings Island, it would probably be my favorite coaster there, which I kind of do wish it went to a park like Kings Island or even a smaller park in the Six Flags chain. I think it definitely would have done more for those parks. But again, Cedar Point, they're always able to get things done quick, and that's probably why they wound up getting this, because they can do things faster than most parks. So I'm very happy that it is here, that it's built, that it's in America, that we have a new-gen Vekoma tilt coaster open, and that people are finally going to get to see what new-gen Vekoma is all about, and hopefully parks will start purchasing more of these, because I'd be very happy to see more tilt coasters, or even just more new-gen Vekoma launch coasters or lift hill coasters, because they are such great rides, and this one is definitely an example of what they can do at their best. Definitely one of my new favorite coasters. Absolutely love Siren's Curse. Make sure you get out to Cedar Point to check out Siren's Curse for yourself and see how it compares to other coasters for you. If you guys enjoyed this review of Siren's Curse, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye, guys.